Senator Coons.
Thank you, Chairman Corker, Ranking Member Menendez, for holding this important hearing, and to our three distinguished witnesses and your families. We are blessed to have men of your experience and strength and character willing to continue serving our country, and I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had to meet with you before. Admiral Harris and Ambassador Nagy, thank you so much for our conversation yesterday, Mr. Schenker, and I look forward to supporting your nominations. If confirmed, which I expect you to be, you will confront some of the greatest challenges the United States faces around the world, from North Korea, the Indo-Pacific, and strengthening and sustaining our vital partnership with our ally, South Korea, to embracing the opportunity of the continent of Africa while also confronting terrorism and humanitarian crises, to the very real challenges and risks of Iran, Syria, and the Middle East. You have a full plate. The Trump administration has given high priority to addressing strategic competition with China in Africa. Senator Corker and I have worked hard on a bipartisan bill called the BUILD Act that will create a new development finance institution, which we hope will be marked up here next week. If realized, this new DFI would shape U.S. efforts to counterbalance China's growing economic influence on the continent. I'm encouraged the White House has expressed strong support for it. Ambassador Nagy, if the BUILD Act passes into law, how could you use this new tool to promote international development and advance U.S. foreign policy interests in Africa?
Thank you very much, Senator. If it passes into law, it would be, in my view, a tremendous asset for us to use, especially regarding when you mention China. Because in talking about China's activities in Africa, we can make the list of all the negative impacts. But the big so what question there is, so what do we displace it with? How do we replace it with? How do we get more American businesses involved in getting into Africa? I know the large businesses have no problems, the multinationals, but when I was in West Texas, so many companies came to me and said, we're interested in investing in Africa, the dairies, the soybeans, and the others. How can we do it? We're afraid to do that because it's not a level playing field. If we get into a dispute, we're going to lose. That type of an act would be absolutely perfect to complement the other side of warning African governments about China's activities and extraction and indebtedness and all the other things.
Thank you, Ambassador. It's my hope that we'll deliver that tool to you and to other folks who represent us around the world in partnership with USAID to advance development and security. Let me move to a country where we have an opportunity to advance democracy in a very real way and where they are watching very closely what is said and done here, Zimbabwe. I recently had a chance to lead a bipartisan CODEL. Senators Flake and Senator Booker were also with me, where we visited with South Africa and Zimbabwe, both of which have relatively new presidents. And as you know, on July 30, there will be an election in Zimbabwe. Prospects for democracy there are uncertain. In our lengthy one-on-one meeting with President Mnangagwa, he said all the right things, and he has publicly continued to say and do good things. But there are significant unaddressed barriers to their restoration of full participation in the community of nations. Senator Flake and I introduced an amendment to ZEDERA, the Zimbabwe Democracy and Recovery Act. Do you agree the United States should not relieve sanctions on Zimbabwe until the government takes concrete actions to demonstrate its respect for human rights, its commitment to free and fair elections, and to pursuing a genuine anti-corruption measures and a rules-based economy?
Absolutely, Senator. Action speaks so much louder than words, and we just have to wait to see what happens there.
One of the core actions we could take would be to send an American ambassador. In your own experience, you were once recalled from retirement to serve as our ambassador in Nigeria. We have a nominee now from the administration who we might be able to get through this committee and the floor in a month, thus would arrive in Harare a week before a generationally significant election. Would you recommend that the department look for a seasoned, experienced former ambassador to send, as well as moving forward as fast as we can to confirm a new ambassadorial nominee?
Senator, if confirmed, once I can look at all the details and the information, I promise you, if I believe that that would be a solution, I will move as quickly as possible for that. Because in my own case, it really did help to spend some time there in Nigeria.
Well, having someone with the length of service and range of experiences and relationships you have is going to be a terrific opportunity for us, but I am concerned about the press of time in a country that has a once-in-a-generation chance to get this right. Yes. Admiral Harris, if I might, I just wanted to both commend you for your long service and your wife's long service in the United States Navy, and to welcome you and to thank you for your willingness to take on this job. Will you ensure that talks with North Korea don't destabilize the Korean Peninsula at the expense of expanding Chinese influence? My concern is that there's a very real prospect here of our making the strategic mistake of canceling exercises, withdrawing American troops without having a clear and verifiable and irreversible path towards denuclearization. And I'll just echo something Senator Portman asked you previously. I just met with North Korean human rights activists and folks who defected recently over many years. Should the government of South Korea, with our partnership, be playing a role in advocating for human rights in North Korea as well, and should that be a central part of our advocacy with regards to North Korea?
Thanks, Senator. If confirmed, I will do all of those things that you said. With regard to human rights, I believe that the government of the Republic of Korea, the South Korea, has a big role to play in the issue of human rights and the gross violations by the North. Also, there are the issues of the abductions of Japanese citizens, and the president raised those issues in his discussions. So I think that's a positive as well.
Let me close by saying to Mr. Schenker, if I might, a number of us on a bipartisan basis sent a letter to the president urging that he not precipitously withdraw U.S. forces from Syria out of a concern that the vacuum created if we were to withdraw would both significantly put at risk or gravely harm our allies who worked with us, our partners in combat against ISIS, and that vacuum would simply be filled by Iranian proxies. Is it your view that our departure from the ground in Syria would create a significant vacuum and we'd be at risk of having Iranian proxies simply fill that vacuum?
Senator, thank you. I am concerned about withdrawing precipitously. I think we have to make the decision based on conditions on the ground and in conjunction with what the combatant commanders say is appropriate.
Thank you. I appreciate your previous comment as well that the White Helmets do terrific work. I was concerned by the hold on funds to them and hope that you'll also be able to make progress in releasing those vital humanitarian funds that support a number of different NGOs and vital work in Syria. Thank you all for your testimony and your willingness to serve, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.